Take a journey with me. You're in love for the first time. Ooh, right? And get all up in there. And peel that back. Remember seeing that person for the first time, and you're like, "Oh, I gotta say something to this somebody." You know what I mean? I gotta go talk to this person. And after you got the courage to talk, this is 24 years ago for me. All right, family. How did you communicate with that person? I had a fucking blue and white see-through beeper. You know what a beeper is? You had to walk to a telephone, punch in the numbers to make the beeper go beep, beep, beep. You hear that in your ear. When you hear it in your ear, you put in your phone number. And then when you put in your phone number, it would send a text to this dumbass device that could only receive text. And mine was see-through blue. All right? And then you get the phone number, beep, 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 to let you know that that person is available for you. What if you were in the park or something? You did, the beeper doesn't talk back. You have to go find a fucking phone. All right? Or if you lived in a 3-bedroom apartment with 19 people, you have to grab the phone that was plugged into the cord. You got to hope your grandmother don't pick up the other phone because then she can hear your conversation about you being in love. You know what I'm saying? What about the first round of intimacy with the person? And we don't have to go sexual right away. If you want to, go ahead. If it makes you feel good and that's what you feel. But just hold their hands or walk in the park. All that good stuff. It's all good stuff. Now do me a favor. Think about how you feel about that person right now. Right? Some of you are like, oh, fuck that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Oh, forget her. Oh, I can't stand her. Right? Oh, the wave of emotions. Congratulations if you made it this far. It's Raw at 4. We're back and we just self-reflected. And that is the topic of today's show. We're going to talk about self-reflection. I'm going to tell you and define for you what self-reflection is. I'm going to tell you 4 reasons why it's important for you to add to your routine. All right. I'm going to go into 4 ways, sense a theme of how to self-reflect. And then I'm going to go into 4 raw hot tips because it wouldn't be me and it wouldn't be raw if it wasn't hot tips.
1084. Please stand by.
Hey, yo, you know it's Raw 4. Get your mind set right. Ooh, let's go. Raw 4 is back, baby. Raw F4 is back. Welcome to another episode where we're talking about self-reflection. And we're going to start, of course, by defining self-reflection. What is self-reflection, ladies and gentlemen? What is self-reflection? And look, a basic Google search will tell you that self-reflection is meditation or serious thought about one's character, actions, and motives. Meditation or serious thought about one's character, actions, and motives. Super important. So we've defined it. We've gone through a little love scene of self-reflection. So what are the benefits? Why do I want to do this, right? What's the big deal? So there's an article here from positivepsychology.com that outlines the benefits of self-awareness. And I've done some work on it here to make it a little bit easier for you. So here are some of the benefits of self-reflection, okay? Immediately, number 1, perspective taking. Another benefit of self-awareness, oops, I apologize for that. A little bit of a malfunction. We're going to go back. Is self-control. Creative achievement is also another benefit of self-reflection. And then high self-esteem and pride. Let's recap that real quick. Perspective taking, self-control, creative achievement is increased. High self-esteem and pride. Those are all phenomenally important things that are beneficial to our everyday world. Who wouldn't want to be better at perspective or self-awareness and self-control? Of course we want creative achievement, right? And of course, we want high self-esteem and pride. So that's obvious, Jeff. Why wouldn't we do that? I think everybody's self-reflecting, right? Wrong. At least not according to this study. This is from EAB.com. While 95% of people believe they are self-aware, in reality, just 10 to 15% actually are. This is according to a 5-year research project by organizational psychologist Tasha Eurich. I'll link this for you. How about this for something a little more cool? 99% of surveyed U.S. workers report working with at least one person who lacks self-awareness. Yeah, I got a few of those. You know what I mean? It is what it is. That's life. Self-reflection, while super important, and we can see the benefits, not everybody does it. Do we think about it? Right? Do we think about self-reflection? Do we give ourselves time for self-reflection? That's another good question. 95% of people apparently believe they do, while only 10 to 15% actually do. All right, so cool. We've defined self-reflection. We've talked about the benefits of self-reflection. Now, how do I do this shit, Jeff, right? How do I self-reflect? Well, there's many ways you can practice self-reflection, but today we're going to go over four specific ways to practice self-reflection. The first way, to journal. Journaling, excellent way to practice self-reflection. You can grab a book like this that says journal on it. You can grab a fucking notebook. I don't care. Just write. Writing is super, super important and powerful when it comes to self-reflecting. The second way you can self-reflect, meditation. This is my personal favorite. I love to write. I feel like that I'm creative most of the time. I love the idea of creativity flowing through me. I like the idea of thinking I'm creative. But meditation really is an opportunity to get into one with yourself, be present in the moment, and you can leverage that to self-reflect on your days. A walk in the park, beautiful. Nature is healthy. Go out in the sun. Go out in the dark. Fucking go out. You know what I'm saying? Go out and just think a little bit, or think a lot of bit, but think. It's all self-reflection. It's beneficial for you. All right. The final way that I want to offer up to you today is a structured formula for self-reflection. Now, when you decide to do research, and I'll get into that with my hot tips about what I feel about research, you're going to see formulas. I leverage this formula because it's very, very, very basic as far as what, so what, now what, right? Real brief story. I'll make it quick, I promise. So what, right? What? I think you can self-reflect on everything, and you have to practice this, of course, but it really is an opportunity for you to correct things that you may not want to be producing in your everyday outcomes in your relationships, etc. So boom. You already know, if you watch my show, I work out every day after I do this, when I do record. So from about 4:30, 4:45 to 6:30, 6:45, I am working out. Cardio, lift, all that other good stuff. I'm also self-reflecting, believe it or not, while I'm working out. Every day, Monday through Saturday, Monday through Saturday, I am working out, and I get upstairs between 6:30 and 6:45 every fucking morning. All right. So on this particular day, I was working out my chest, which makes me feel really good as a man. You know, it's my favorite thing to do. I'm feeling really good about life. I was working on my biceps, triceps. I'm like, ooh, I'm feeling good, right? Ooh, baby, woo, woo, woo. All that good shit. And I'm going upstairs to start my routine for the morning, which is inclusive of making my children breakfast. So part of why I do what I do is I want to be available for my children for breakfast time in the morning. We spend beautiful time together. I walk up the stairs, and typically it's empty. No, the house, a lot of times my wife is up, but the kids are usually sleeping. I also wake them up. But my daughter has decided to build in a routine to want to wake up around 5. So she's early, all right? She's early. I get upstairs. I feel good about working out. Ooh, you know, the day's good. About to make some pancakes, some eggs, and some bacon. I walk upstairs, and boom, my beautiful, gorgeous daughter is standing right there in the kitchen, and she's making herself a smoothie. And I'm like, my gorgeousness, I call her Gorge. I'll leave her name out. I love you to pieces, right? But what are you doing in the kitchen? Why are you in the kitchen? And she's, I'm making my smoothie, Daddy, because I'm hungry and I'm 13 and you took forever. And I'm like, It's the same time. I'm up here at the same time as I am every day. Why? There's no difference in my schedule. You're in my space. You know what I'm saying? And my daughter's like, oh no, well, I didn't want to wait that long, and an argument ensues. And sure enough, she's playing she has her YouTube on, and she has Dance Moms on, and my entire flow is broken. Like, I'm just broken. My code, my programming, my brain I'm all the way malfunctioned. And I'm like, why is this beautiful, wonderful daughter of mine, who I love with all my soul, in my space at this time in the morning when she knows this is my routine? So I snatched the phone from her. I said, get out my space, man. This is what I do this every day. You don't belong in here, right? And immediately as I was having that interaction in my brain, the self-reflection process started. And I'm like, not probably what you wanted to do, Jeff. And she walked away with, and typically my daughter spars with me, and not literally, she doesn't hit me, but she'll verbal spar, like, oh, rah, rah, rah. Doesn't sound like that, but it sounds like a 13-year-old mouth coming at you. You know what I'm saying? And she said, you know, if you really loved me, you would have just let me make my smoothie and be on my way. And, ooh, right? Ooh, that hurt. And in the moment, I didn't like it. In the moment, I couldn't contain what was transpiring. But what I did with self-reflection is, and I used the formula, what, so what, now what, is, man, I got to relive that moment in my brain. I got to relive the entire transaction from what I was feeling downstairs, not anticipating walking upstairs, how I felt when I opened the door and I saw my daughter. All these things come into play as I self-reflect. What? I don't want to behave this way with my daughter. Period, full stop. So what? This is not the type of scenario I want to relive and replay. It builds up bad habits. That's a routine I don't want to be in. Now what? In my brain, I relive the entire fucking moment. And as I'm unpacking that moment, I close it positively in my brain. Like, I know it happened this way, but if I get the opportunity to relive that moment, this is how I would do it. And that's the power of like a structured kind of way, right? And exactly what I referenced, which is what, so what, now what? What happened, and then so what? There's usually an emotional feeling tied to it. Right? Process that emotion. Now what? What am I going to do now? I can't fix what happened, but I can change the outcomes potentially in the future. And that's what self-reflection does. We talked about routine regularly. You want to self-reflect to change situations that may not have occurred the way that you wanted it to, and now you can reproduce them in a way that's more positive, and or relive. If that interaction with my daughter was all positive, I want to relive that and say every time that I produce that in real life, I want to have those moments. So that's structured self-reflection, how I apply it and how I think it's important. But you go through the process. We talked about the 4 ways: journaling, meditation. I got to go this way. Walk in the park, and in a structured way. You can do your research. What, so what, now what is my way? All right, cool. So we defined this thing. We talked about the benefits. We talked about ways to do it. How often should you self-reflect? I think this is a personal thing. I think that you should understand what feels right for you. But first and foremost, what I would say is to start and end my day, every day, I self-reflect through meditation and prayer, right? So I start and end the day with self-reflection. I also just self-reflect constantly throughout the day, but let's not get in there. So you can do it to start or end your day. You can do it weekly. You can do it monthly. You can schedule time with yourself. But what you're doing is, when you have your self-reflection moments, refer to your journal or refer to your notes or refer to other methods that you're doing to start your process of self-reflecting. When I'm out in the park, whatever it is, when you get into your process of it, make sure you are scheduling, starting the day, ending the week, ending the month. Or the 4th way is as often as you'd fucking like. Like, I'm a big proponent of, if you just realize something went wrong and you're like, right? Self-reflect right there. And say, hey, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to be about that life. And it'll help the process of your formal self-reflection to say, well, I know when I had that moment, I didn't want that moment. Here I am again. Let me change those processes. All right. So we talked about a lot of things. What is self-reflection, how to self-reflect, how often you should self-reflect. Now, here are the raw 4 hot tips. This is the, you're going to go online, you're going to find your shit, you're going to see a lot of things that make sense to you. And you're going to want to implement that into your practice. Cool. You're going to see a lot of things online that are very high level and they try to take you through different things. I want to get a little bit granular about the importance of when you start this process. The first thing I wrote down, let me make sure, because I wrote two sets of notes, and I wound up coming together on 4 that make more sense for me. So this is Jeff's raw at 4 perspective. Whoops, I don't want that. All right. The first thing I'll say to you is start now, research later. Just start. You can listen to this podcast, to this episode, to whatever this is. You can do it, and it makes sense, right? And you want to do your research because you want to be informed. But I find when you start to really try to overthink this thing, you build up a routine of just researching and never doing. So act right now. Start now. Research as you go. The second thing is don't date this thing. It is a marriage. It is like going from $0 to $1 million in ones. All right. You gotta, so every time you self-reflect, give yourself $1. You want to be a millionaire self-reflection, get to 1 million self-reflecting moments. Sounds crazy, right? But the point is, 33,641, that dollar is not going to mean much to you, but eventually you get to 100, 200, 300, 400, next thing you're a millionaire. But you got to go through the process one at a time. All right. The third thing is super important. Do not fear your emotion. Self-reflecting. After you get over the initial euphoria, the honeymoon phase, I'm in love with this right now and it's all good, before that feeling of fuck, I don't love this person no more. You know what I mean? You gotta be able to understand and compartmentalize your emotions. They will surface, and the more that you get past the euphoric state of, I'm doing something new, the more you're gonna fall into a trap of, oh shit, I'm starting to really figure out who I am. There's not enough moments in every day to self-reflect on, because I don't argue with my daughter every day, or my son, or my wife, or I don't argue at work, or I don't deal with that, that selfish person that we know doesn't self-reflect at work, because that's what the data says. But all those things, they surface. You want to be able to not fear your emotion, allow it to process and work through the emotion. Understand if that's the emotion you want to apply. And if it isn't, fucking change it. That is the power of self-reflection. The last thing I'll say is, the last 4th hot tip is to close the loops on all emotional moments. So anytime you're in a situation that's emotional one way or the other, and typically you self-reflect and it starts to get like, all these things that I want to change. And that's cool. But you want to self-reflect too on some things you don't want to change. Like when you get good at it and you're like, hey, I'm building up a routine of positivity, I want to self-reflect and continue to introduce positivity into my world. The negative, you want to close that loop. My daughter, right? In my estimation, my interaction with my daughter was negative. It was not what I want to produce every day for our relationship. Therefore, in my brain, emotionally, I closed the loop in a positive way. So while in real life, the output of that interaction with my daughter was negative, and we tussled a little bit, I was able to reflect, apologize, which I did out loud. But in my brain, as I mentioned earlier, I went and closed the emotional loop as I self-reflected. That way, the next time I'm in this emotional state, I can trigger my self-reflection, you selfish fuck, and then produce an outcome that is not going to make me feel how I don't want to feel. All right? That is the power of self-reflection. Family, it has been an absolute blessing to be back. I got more and more in store for you. We're going to come to you weekly on Mondays. I know today's a Tuesday, but this is the day that I had after I had some technical difficulties yesterday. I want to close for you in this way. self-reflection, all bullshit aside, will absolutely positively put you in a space where you can start to manage your outcomes emotionally. And that is really what you want to drive home. What you really want to do is say, I am not, or I am producing these scenarios that make me as happy or unhappy as I want to or don't want to be, and I don't want to repeat these things. So self-reflect to close the loop, to build self-awareness, to build character, and to build the positivity and self-esteem you need to be successful in life. This has been Raw 4. May everything you desire come to you exactly as you deserve. We'll be back next week. Ooh, baby.